Hello everyone, and welcome to Divine Debut. This is Kathy speaking, and thank you for joining me here on this Astro update, which I haven't done for a little while. If you are on Patreon, you know what's going on astrologically as we look into the stars. We do a monthly reading. We look into each day and how the planets change signs, turn retrograde, go through challenging aspects or positive aspects. So if you are so called to join us on Patreon, then please do so, as we do learn a lot about the astrological alignments and how they affect us personally and collectively. So you can get the links beneath this video if you are interested. Tier 3 would be where we do the most astrology. Tier 1 is the extended readings for the month. Tier 2 is the extended readings for the month and the new and full moon, including eclipses. And Tier 3 gets all those, plus the month ahead astrology and any extra videos on mythology, on the stars, on the asteroids, and so on and so forth. So if you are into all that, do join us. We would love to have you on board, even if it's to just check out our Patreon and see if you like it. If you do, you stay. If you don't, you go. It's all good. Anyway, March is a very powerful month, my dear friends. And there's a lot going on. Just like a lot is going on in the sky and all the planets are now moving direct, so are our lives. Things are starting to take form. We're moving forward. We were very stuck indeed, as Mars was retrograding since last October in the sign of Gemini, which he turned direct mid-January. That was about at the 8th degree of Gemini, so it was very important, especially for the mutable signs, being Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, and Pisces. Now Mars is moving direct, but he's still walking along the degrees that he retrograded, which means that we're still dealing with issues pertaining to the retrograde of Mars in Gemini. And what is Gemini? Gemini ruled by Mercury does speak to communication, perception, learning, teaching, anything to do with the news, anything pertaining to data, the internet, journalism, publishing. It is the natural third house, and that's why I always have 0 Aries to help you follow along. The third house is the house of siblings, relatives, and people that are close to you. Short distance travel. Opposite is Sagittarius, which is long distance travel. So we've had issues with these subjects pertaining to Mars having retrograded for so long. Mars is going to finish moving through Gemini, which it's been really, really tough on Gemini, plus also the mutable signs, as I said. 25th of March is when Mars will leave Gemini and ingress into Cancer. And obviously with Mars retrograde, who retrogrades every couple of years, it's a new cycle that he's started now, a new 2-year cycle. So we'll be able to breathe as we haven't been able to move forward. It's been very, very frustrating, and Mars is the god of war, so there may have been a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of harsh words and fights. Mars is, when retrograde, it's like the energy, instead of Mars's energy being pushed outwards. Remember, Mars rules Aries, the ram. Instead of the energy being pushed outwards, it turns inwards. So the frustration would come from within. Remember that the planets are archetypes, and we always take the color of certain archetypes and energies as we are part of the collective. Right? So many times we may have taken the role of Mars, right? Having been frustrated and angry and stuck and not being able to move forward because we needed to revisit the past. That's what happens with retrograde planets. We know a retrograde planet is always closer to the Earth, and therefore its energy is much more potent, which brings back situations to do with the past. Now Mars needs to get to the 25th degree so that he could tread on new degrees, so it will be a new story. Until then, we're still dealing with issues that are coming up from last year, even from October. We could also say earlier than that, right? So what was going on for you back then in October? I know for me personally what was going on, and it hasn't been easy. And many of you know, obviously, I talk with a lot of people. It's been tough. It's been really tough, and we're still there. It's like we're at the end, at an end point, being Pisces season as well. And happy birthday, dear Pisces. We know the sun transiting through the 12th sign means that it's a very karmic time. The 12th sign is an ending, isn't it? So some sort of a completion is happening as the sun transits through Pisces. We have got endings and possibly new beginnings around the corner. There's a lot to do with endings. If you look at the chart, you could see Pluto in Capricorn at the 29th degree, Saturn in its home sign of Aquarius at the 29th degree. The 29th degree is not an easy degree, my dear friends. Many times they say that the darker side of the archetype or the planet, the celestial body, usually comes through. So if Saturn, let's say, the negative side of Saturn is being blocked and limited and restricted, and there's no abundance. Saturn is stingy. He holds back. He takes away. These would be the themes that would come up with Saturn. With Pluto, obviously, Pluto is death and rebirth, and endings are never ever easy, are they? As we're humans and we get used to and get comfortable doing the same thing. So ending a situation, and Pluto, obviously, which can speak to monies, it can speak to power, control, some form of karma. Remember Pluto, in Roman and Greek, Hades, god of the underworld, who's a very powerful deity indeed. Being at the 29th degree of Capricorn, he's in a Saturn-ruled sign, and both Saturn, think of Saturn Kronos with his scythe. Remember, Saturn would gobble up his own children so as to not lose his power, his position of power. And both Saturn and Pluto do speak to the powerful, to those who sit in power, who can control the masses. Pluto is the masses. It's the people, it's the riches. And Pluto is preparing to ingress into Aquarius, and Saturn is preparing to ingress into Pisces. Now, I do go into a lot of details. It's a 2-hour video. I've spoken about the month ahead of March, the month of March, moving forward. I do go into all the details, so you may be interested in that. Otherwise, more briefly, Saturn will leave Aquarius after almost 3 years. He's been transiting through his home sign of Aquarius. But remember, Aquarius is also ruled by Uranus. So the Saturn is the old, Uranus is the new. Saturn is the tradition, whereas Uranus is the maverick that wants to break the traditions. And Uranus, which rules Aquarius, is in Taurus, not a strong position. And Uranus has reached the middle point of Taurus. So obviously Uranus in Taurus is big, ups and downs, and sudden awareness and revelation and changes, sudden tower moments. Uranus is an awakener. he does awaken. He takes off those rose-colored glasses, like taking off the veil. But we see things very suddenly and very unexpectedly. Thinking of Uranus being the sky god, Uranus has got the ability to see things from a higher perspective. There's great intelligence. And Taurus and Scorpio, which is the axis here, where the eclipses have been going on. The fixed signs have been hit very hard since the beginning of last year, with the eclipses happening very close to the nodal axis, right, transiting through Taurus and Scorpio. And not only Taurus and Scorpio, but Leo and Aquarius. They're in square, in 90-degree angle to the nodes. So lots of fated events, changes, sudden enlightenment, awakening, aha moments. But sort of, I see Uranus as the elevator, right? How does the elevator go up and down quickly? That's how Uranus is for me. And Taurus and Scorpio is the money axis. So lots of ups and downs and shake-ups. I mean, Taurus is the bank, right? It's new age currencies. We all know that there's, we're starting to leave old ways of payments. Everything is turning digital, which Aquarius rules and Uranus rule the internet. So we are transforming, the world is transforming, but this great shift here with the end of Saturn through Aquarius, 3 years, another 3 years through Capricorn, both signs that he rules. So the last 6 years, from 2017, roughly 2018, it hasn't been easy, my friends. Saturn will ingress into Pisces on the 7th of March. Mark that on your calendar. Saturn takes 29.5 years roughly to do the whole zodiac. So he's returning to a position, Pisces, if you think back 30 years ago, where were you? What was going on in your life 30 years ago? This will be the remembrance or the returning to a similar situation but with different themes, because not all the planets are in the same positions as they were 30 years ago. There will be some remembrance of Saturn in Pisces, though, and I will be doing a special video on Saturn in Pisces in the next few days with a lot of details. And when will Saturn leave Pisces, how long, what transits, which planet he'll be conjoining with, opposing. Important information, especially if you are ruled by Saturn. So therefore you would be either an Aquarius or a Capricorn, or you've got, let's say, Saturn in your natal chart in a very strong position. Could be on your ascendant, on your descendant, on your midheaven, on your IC, your important angles in your chart. This would be very, very important to know what Saturn and how Saturn will affect you. Now, 7th of March, which is the day that Saturn will ingress into Pisces, Saturn rules Capricorn. He's the original ruler of Capricorn and obviously Aquarius. But because Capricorn is Earth, Saturn is more earthy. In Aquarius, obviously, Saturn shares his rulership with Uranus ever since Uranus was discovered. So Saturn in Capricorn is heavier than Saturn in Aquarius. Now, Saturn being more earthy, he does bring grounding. He helps you build. He's not a planet or an archetype to fear. even though he's all about hard work and limitations, and he restricts your forward momentum when you have obligations. You need to do the work. Saturn asks you to prove that you are capable, that you are hardworking, that you can have your feet planted on the ground and work hard, be mature, take responsibility. All these themes are Saturnian, but Saturn now in Pisces, Pisces being a mutable water sign, Pisces is totally the opposite to what Saturn is. So you can imagine it sounds a little bit like friction, doesn't it? It's Saturn, such an earthy sign, plus air, we could say, since he rules Aquarius. Being in a water sign, a very compassionate, loving, sacrificing, sensitive. Saturn is nowhere near sensitive. Saturn is, he is the strict rules. He will point you to what it is that you need to do. Whereas Pisces is, I want to go to sleep. I want to dream. I want to be up in those clouds. I want to imagine. Well, Saturn is like a rock. Those of us that have been in a slumber, in a dream, possibly imagining something that we could create, that doesn't hold a foundation, that something that cannot materialize, something that cannot be real. It can only be something that we imagine. Then that will be a really harsh awakening for some of us. But the positive is that Saturn in Pisces, yes, we can dream, but we can start to work on it. We will strategize. Think of Capricorn. Capricorn holds a position of power. It's cardinal earth. It's taking action. It's initiation. It's working one step at a time and not stopping. Capricorn is the mountain goat. Now, Saturn in Pisces can mean so many things. I mean, Pisces is very spiritual, very much about religion, whereas Saturn is reality. Very, very opposing energies. Saturn can also speak to the law and heavy penalties, and it rules the governments and leaders. It can speak to restrictions and stricter laws. It's like the heavy hand of law, right? And yes, we will go into all the details. There is a lot that we'll be talking about. Remember that Pisces can also be lies and deception. So Saturn will be strict on those that have been into propaganda and, painting a picture of unrealistic themes or news. Remember that Neptune, which rules Pisces, is the TV. It's things that are, it's man-made. It's something that, it's like being up on stage and putting on a performance. Remember, Pisces can be really good actors. They're very spiritual, but also very, very creative, very artistic. But Saturn will be the reality. I feel that Saturn in Pisces will be much more about positivity than negativity. Pisces is water, it's flowing. Saturn is boundaries. Water needs to flow and cannot be held, cannot be kept in, in one form. Pisces and mutable water sign Pisces needs to flow. It's like the river. It's, you cannot contain this energy. Saturn is going to try to contain. Saturn is going to it's like we're trying to build on a seabed. You can imagine how the sand moves, right, on the seabed. Saturn is about putting foundations. They're not going to be easy, but this will be almost a 3-year transit. So remember, it's a step at a time. And we will feel this huge shift. Pisces also speaks to our emotional health. Remember, it's on the axis with Virgo, which is more about methodical, practical steps towards physical health, whereas Pisces is the emotional, the psychological, the spiritual health. And Saturn in Pisces can also speak to depression. We'll be seeing a lot of that. After all the hardships that humanity has gone through ever since the beginning of 2020, and even before that, my dear friends, this is the outcome. We've got the results. We'll be seeing a lot of that, a lot of things to do with where healing, psychological healing, the healing of the soul, because the soul has been wounded. And Pisces is also what is unconscious, what we hold deep within us. We've got a lot of digging up to do to clear out anything to do with fears, because we've been surrounded by fear, a fear of the end, a fear of change, a fear of war, a fear of, there's so much fear that we've had to deal with, and not everyone has got the ability to deal with it in a healthy way or to relieve the stress, and so on and so forth. Anyway, now, further down the line, Pluto in Capricorn, Pluto entered Capricorn in 2008, and on March 23rd, he's going to step into and onto that 0 degrees of Aquarius, which again, Aquarius is a fixed sign. It's a fixed air sign. So this will be very positive for the air signs. Those of you that are born under an air sign and you're born in the first 2-3 days of the sign, this will be particularly very important for you. Pluto is very transformative. He works like, in the background. Even though he's doing the work, he's very slow. He's the furthest out planet in our solar system. So many times he's not like in your face where you see what he's produced. It's like a clockwork that's running in the background, and can be, he speaks to depth. Remember, Pluto rules Scorpio. So he's working in the background, just like, Hades, the god of the underworld, not able to be seen. He's not in your face. He works a step at a time. He's very, very slow, but he's very, very powerful. And Pluto in Capricorn does speak to a death and a metamorphosis pertaining to those who hold the power, those in government, those in hierarchy positions, those who hold on to the riches. And I have been saying that, this is a changing of, the riches going from those in positions of power to the people, because Aquarius is the people. But this is a very slow process, my dear friends. So Pluto enters Aquarius on the 23rd of March of 2023. The 23rd of the 3rd of 2023. And he will stay there until June 11th. He's going to trial. It's like dipping his toe into the water to see what it's like. But he hasn't finished up in Capricorn. He's going to go back and forth as he's going to retrograde on the last degrees of Capricorn. So the cardinal signs, Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, and Libra, those of you that your lives have gone through a major metamorphosis, obviously, since 2008, especially those are born in the first 10 days, I should say in the first 20 days of the cardinal signs, your life has already transformed. For those of you that are born in the last few days, last 5-6 days, I would say, of the cardinal signs, and obviously for the fixed signs as well, because the fixed signs will be in a square. Now, I know the fixed signs haven't had it easy since the eclipses have been happening in Scorpio and Taurus, and with Saturn moving through Aquarius, it hasn't been easy for Aquarius, for Leo, Scorpio, and Taurus. Now, with Pluto ingressing or trialing in Aquarius, the next 20 years until 2044, Pluto will be transforming the lives of the fixed signs. Of course, for the air signs, they'll be in good connection to Aquarius. But Pluto will not ingress into Aquarius until late 2024 when he stays in Aquarius. So he will, in fact, be important for those that are born in the first 3-4 days, I would say, of Aquarius and of the fixed signs, and obviously very positive for the air signs born in the first few days. So Pluto will be back and forth. As I said, he'll be in Aquarius until June 11th. Then early 2024, he will re-step back into Aquarius, stay a little bit longer, then go back into Capricorn again, and towards the end of 2024, he will ingress into Aquarius and stay. Very powerful indeed. This, as we know, we're moving into the age of Aquarius. This is a big deal, even though we're not totally into the age of Aquarius. We are just like in the foyer, the power will come, the power and the wealth and the riches will come back to the people. And of course, because Aquarius is the internet, this will transform our lives. As we know, Aquarius is the sky. The sky is the limit. I mean, we're going to pass, we're going to go further out than what, the sky that we could see. I mean, Aquarius is the aliens. It's extraterrestrial beings. So much can happen, and of course Aquarius does rule the sky. So aviation, flight, travel, we're going to see so much, my dear friends. Very exciting indeed. We should be very excited about living in these times, because our offspring will be looking back and saying, gee, those people, they lived through important times. Anyway, so March is going to be a whopper. March, we're going to feel these shifts incredibly, especially even from now, I'm going to say, my dear friends, because, as I said, both Pluto and Saturn, they're at the last degree, right? It's as though they're already stepping into the sign that they're, moving into. And remember that it's not only that they change sign. Think of Saturn from Aquarius, which is a fixed air sign, into a mutable water sign. And Pluto going from a cardinal earth sign, very grounded, very slow, very steady, into a fixed air sign. Now, Pluto will be very, very powerful indeed in Aquarius. And just something that you may not know is that the outer planets in air signs are very, very powerful indeed. And not only powerful, but also very positive. So there's great promise here, my dear friends. Pay attention, even from tomorrow, even from today. For me, this shift of Saturn in Aquarius, from Aquarius to Pisces, it's been felt. It's been felt, especially from yesterday, quite strongly. So pay attention, as Saturn will give you the indication, a taste of what's to come, right? Pay attention. And where is Aquarius for you in your own personal birth chart? That depends, of course, on your rising sign, okay? And Pluto, well, this is a this is a huge shift. Remember, Pluto is very karmic, very life-changing, very transformative. Do you have anything at the 0 degrees of Aquarius, or at the 0 degrees of Leo, or Scorpio, or Taurus, or even Libra, which is another air sign, and Gemini, 0 degrees. I mean, this 0 degrees in ingress of Pluto will be in trine to you. Okay, so we're going to see a lot of things happening on the collective, not only in our personal lives, but collectively speaking as well. Now, the Sun transiting through Pisces, finishing off, we are looking forward to the new astrological year, the spring equinox, my dear friends, on the 20th of March or the 21st, depending on if you're in the northern hemisphere or in the southern, as the Sun will pass over that 0 degrees of cardinal Aries, all the 0 degrees of the cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Capricorn, and Cancer. They're the world axis, so it is very important. Spring is in the air already. I think I've shown you some of my blooms on a couple of my last videos. Yes, spring is in the air. You can smell it. You can also almost taste it. A new season is around the corner, my dear friends. So that's why I feel like we are wrapping things up. There's a new story in front of us. Now, today, the 28th of February, what is so beautiful here and has been in the past few days, Venus in Aries, in a Mars ruled sign with Jupiter, kissing, starting a brand new cycle. Both benefic planets in the sign of Mars, which Mars is now direct, thank God. So what will the blessings be? We know that this could speak to abundance in love, materialistic abundance. Venus in Aries, she's like, she's like Athena, the warrior goddess. She's very courageous. She's very Martian. She's very masculine in this sign. She has the guts. She doesn't sit back. She's not a Pisces, Venus in Pisces, which is very sensitive, romantic, slightly, what's the word? I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Naive. She's not the naive and innocent Venus in Pisces. She's like goddess Athena. She's going to fight. She's ready to go to war. For, Aries is cardinal fire. Fire. There is a fair bit of fire, and we don't only have Venus and Jupiter here, where Jupiter is he's on a roll here, right? He's the general, which is in charge here. He's, ready to go to war. But he's ready to go to war for love. Okay, this is putting in the energy, having the courage to move forward for what it is that we love. Is it finances? Is it a relationship? Is it a romantic relationship, a partnership? Is it family? What is it? This is also very lucky for the cardinal signs, I should say for the fire signs. For the cardinal signs, they're in square, so they will be under pressure to have the courage to move forward. Remember that I see Aries as, the fool, taking that leap of faith, going on that journey, and knowing that Spirit has our back. I mean, Jupiter is truth. We have the truth with us. Jupiter is justice. Jupiter is wisdom, philosophy, understanding. Okay, the two benefics coming together here. They're teaming up, the two benefics of our solar system. Okay, so it's a very positive time, and when there's been challenges for you, Venus and Jupiter will always bring in the blessings. Now we can be courageous and stand strong. Remember that opposite Leo, opposite Aries is Libra. So this does speak to relationships, fairness, justice, equality, litigation, any court hearings that you have, anything to do with the law, right? Jupiter is very adventurous. They want to take that journey, but there is a wound here. There's something that we're looking for. Chiron, the wounded healer, the resolution, the revelation. We're looking for the key to unlock some sort of mystery that kept us blocked. Was it a psychological wound from our past? Was it anything to do with a contract or obligations, or remember with all the retrogrades and Mars retrograde, now we've come out and all the planets are direct. It's not about visiting the past now, it's all action moving forward. It's like I'm off, you're either coming on board with me or, you know, I cannot wait. I'm going to miss the train. It's all forward momentum. There will be a time when we will start to slow down. And remember, with all planets direct, so we're trying to sort of catch up as well. And, you know, obviously time is racing, moving forward, racing faster and faster each day. This too will slow down with, I would say, with Saturn moving into Pisces for sure. It will slow down. Now, Juno, the asteroid of marriage, is also here in Aries. So Aries connects really well with Gemini. We've got a beautiful sextile here. Juno, the asteroid of commitment and marriage, is in a Mars-ruled sign, but is coming up to the last degrees of Aries, which will be squaring over to Pluto. So relationships that there's been no integrity, there's been no effort put in. Relationships, karmic cycles are coming to an end with Saturn at the last degree of Aquarius, which Aquarius, remember, is all about freedom. Where there's been no freedom and you've been stuck in a loop, in a karmic, challenging situation where you needed to do the work, you needed to put in extra effort. This feels like a release to me, even with Pluto at the 29th degree. Okay, and also any matters pertaining to health, as Hygiea, the asteroid of health, is conjoining with Pluto here. This is relationships, partnerships, people that sit in a position of power. Have they been doing the right thing? I mean, and connected to health, I'm going to say here with Hygiea here. And with Chiron, which also rules health. But it's an open wound. It's like a wound that we carry all our lives. Some sort of a wounding that's deep within us, in our subconscious. This could be coming up now as Jupiter is also on Chiron, and Jupiter does expand on this open wound. Yes, this could be very positive that we could find some sort of a resolution, but this could also bring back memories, old memories of a wounding. This may be an uneasy or an ending that's not easy, right? It's like trying to put a band-aid on an open wound here. But it's like at the last minute here, right? Before the shift. And this is going to be a big shift, my dear friends. Now, what is difficult here, and I need to mention this very importantly, and I've spoken about this on Patreon in more length, but I will also be talking more to you on the Saturn in Pisces video. We've got Neptune squaring over to Mars, and this is not an easy aspect at all. They've connected through a square since last October. Since last October, I think November again, they squared as they were, Mars turned retrograde. This is Neptune and Mars coming together in a square aspect. Could be a lot to do with health, physical, emotional, health issues, viruses. We could have a breakout of viruses and infectious diseases. I mean, Mars is the god of war, remember, and as he was in retrograde motion, and Neptune can also speak to deception, things that happen behind the curtain. We could have issues pertaining to the army moving forward. You know, a deceptive hit, right? These are underhanded strikes, injustices. Mars can speak to burns or hostility or fights, action moving forward. Okay, Mars rules the scalpel. Mars could be blood. It's warlike. It's bombs. It's guns. It's knives. And Neptune can be deception, propaganda. Neptune can be anything to do with medicine and poisons and oil. And Neptune in Pisces is the seas. Oil spills, especially with Saturn ingressing into Pisces. We may see things that will not be easy. Now this square, this is the third time that they square and the last time that they square now, and we'll be happy to see the end of this, but this will last for a few days. So more so towards the 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th of the month, they will be the more challenging days because of Neptune squaring over to Mars. And remember that the lockdowns and the restrictive rules that we had since the beginning of 2020, I mean, here with Pluto at 29 and Saturn at 29, this could be those that are in positions of power trying to hold on for dear life, holding on to their power and just knee-jerk action, last moment decisions as how to hold on to the control. And this is not an easy aspect. Remember, Neptune is the god of the seas. He rules water. He rules anything to do with drugs, medicines, Pisces. This is anything that we intake to escape, whether it's going to sleep sometimes when we've got a headache, right? We go to sleep, try and get over it. Or when we're in a difficult psychological situation, we cannot sleep. Neptune in Pisces, in its home sign, squaring over to Gemini. Gemini, remember, is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is in a strong position here, but Mercury will, on the 3rd of March, ingress into Pisces, where he cannot communicate clearly. He feels like he's going to drown, right? Try communicating underwater. Now, Mercury can speak to communication, anything to do with commerce, business, children, youth. Gemini is the youth. So we may have lots of information, a disclosure of information that will be very challenging, right, pertaining to children, health, schooling, teaching. All these themes may be coming up. Anything to do with short distance, long distance travel. There may be restrictions. A lot to do with the politics as well, my dear friends, and politics on the world, the world and the world level, on a cosmic level as well. things to do with politics and those who sit in power, those who rule. So with Mercury in Pisces, obviously, even though Mercury is moving direct, dear friends, it will feel like a Mercury retrograde, because there'll be a lot of confusion. Remember that Mercury is also in Pisces, it squares over to Mars. So again, a lot of misunderstandings, missed emails, thinking you've sent a message whereas you haven't, or the words haven't come out clearly enough, you need to go over it again. Yes, it's going to feel like we're in Mercury retrograde, even though that will not happen until April. Now, on the 7th, just before Saturn ingresses into Pisces, we're going to have a full moon in Virgo, and it's not going to be an easy full moon at all, my dear friends. So here we are on the 7th, so roughly at the 16th degree of Virgo, we're going to have a full moon. So the sun transiting through Pisces and the moon through Virgo, something is culminating. It's got to do with health, right? It's got to do with health. Here is Pluto squaring over to Juno. Obviously, Venus will come up to square Pluto as well, but not quite yet. Why is this such a difficult full moon? Obviously, because we've got Saturn and Pluto here at the last degrees, but it's this square between Mars and Neptune, which is going to be exact a few days after. Right? The lucky thing, and we're saved by the bell, we've got Uranus here in a good aspect to this full moon, but I will be doing a full moon reading on Patreon. Do join us there so you can get the more details, and we'll also look into the Sabian symbols and what do they mean. We've also got a couple of eclipses coming up, my dear friends. So they're not very far and they're just around the corner. I just wanted to mention here that this full moon in Virgo can be quite hard. Thankfully, there's a trine over from the full moon to Uranus, but Uranus in Taurus can be, Taurus rules the earth. Neptune also could be tough weather conditions. You've all seen what happened in Turkey and in Syria. My heart goes out to all those families that lost loved ones. We've had a few tremors here in Greece, and there's a lot of risk. There's major risk for tremors, earthquakes, volcanic eruption, as these major planets are shifting as well. The earth is going to rumble. Let's just pray that people are not in the firing line, and whatever, everything is changing. The earth and its inhabitants as well as its form, right? Everything is change, and change is healthy as long as we're not in the firing line where change is concerned, and that change is in stages and we're able to keep up and, change ourselves as we need to transmutate and transcend. We know that we had reached the bottom of the barrel. It's all the way up now, my dear friends. It's about, and yes, it feels really, really heavy, because the bottom of the barrel, it's like the lead, it's like Saturn holding us down. We're trying to stand up, having 100 kilos on our shoulders. It's been really tough financially, where work is concerned, where everything, the economy, the world economy, health crisis, going through a health crisis, crisis of our resources. What's next? Anyway, I think that the worst is over. Yes, we're still trying to lift ourselves up. We've still got a bit to go, but I really feel that this new astrological year holds great promise. It really, really does. And things cannot be perfect from one day to the other, remember, dear friends. It takes time and it takes work. Okay? Just like with the clock and, you know, karma and the Lord of Karma, Saturn, he works like clockwork. All the planets do. They've got their own cycles, right? Life is a cycle. Many times we can be stuck in a certain cycle where we cannot find the exit route because we have not learned the lesson. We need to awaken and understand that we've gone over this 10 times. Maybe we need to choose a different route. Have you ever thought about that? So I think I will leave it there. I could talk to you for another 3 hours, but I've got personal readings to do. And thank you to my friends and clients who trust me with their personal readings. I will also be doing in the next few days the individual signs for the month of March. Probably doing those on one video like I did last month. We'll see. But thank you so much for your trust, your love always. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting. And you can always write to me. I read all your emails. I answer back. Write to me and tell me what's going on in your own personal life. I'm always interested and always have an open ear. Thank you so much, my dears, my darlings. Wishing you all well. Hold on to your hats. As life is changing. Life is seriously changing. My love to all of you, and I will talk to you soon. Love and light.